What's going on, everybody? My name is Lorenzo. You can call me Zoe for short. And thanks for taking the time to peep out what I got to say. This information is for men and women. So today I want to talk about why men want peace. All right, especially with what goes on in the world today. With male depression, which is a big thing. Between the ages of, I'm pretty sure it's around the ages of 15 to about 65 or something like that. It's a pretty broad range when it comes to the age of men hurting themselves, right, or worse. So, yeah, let's talk about that. At the end of the day, man, it's all about when it comes to men, right? We're pretty much like, you know, from a young age, trying to create our value, right? Trying to find our place in the world, and trying to figure out what it is that we're gonna do, what we're gonna do. Because let's face it, at the end of the day, we're going to be, providing for a family. If we want to have a wife and children, we better step up to the plate and earn money, number one. And number two, be there as the leader of the household. Usually that's the case for most men, right? So it's a lot of responsibility. It carries a lot of weight, a lot of pressure, right? So, we really got to think about these things in more depth and why it's a fact and why the stats show that more men are hurting themselves than women are, right? So I always say that women have their burden and men have their burden and men have their burden, right? They both are equal, but they're just different types of burdens, right? So for women, it's more so about, number one, they got to carry a child for 9 months. That's a long time. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't do it. I'm just gonna be real with you. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't even want to do it, right? I think it's the hardest job in the world to not only carry another human being. So it's the most important job in the world, right? But also giving birth, right? It's amazing. But then of course you got after that, the woman has to look after that human being, and be responsible for that human being. And then, a woman has to deal with the menstrual cycle and all the ups and downs of the emotions and the hormones and all of that. The feeling of, not saying being scared, but just think about it like this. Just say you're a woman, right? 20 years old, right? And you're in an office building and you get into an elevator and it's you and 5 other men in an elevator, right? Just think of that for a minute. Like that, like you could be thinking, okay, what if this elevator gets stuck? What happens then? Right? Now, I think it'd be scary for a woman. It just would, right? Even an everyday occurrence like that. Walking late at night somewhere alone, stuff like that, right? So women got to deal with all of that kind of stuff. Okay. Yeah. So, but when it comes to men, we have different burdens. Protecting others. Mainly our wife and our children. And providing and resources and money and all that kind of stuff. So that comes with a lot of pressure and a lot of burden as well. But just the pressure that we put on ourselves of to create a life, let's just be real about it, man. Like, if just say a parent has a son and a daughter, the son is usually the one to, like, they put the more pressure on when it comes to, and I know a lot of people are going to argue with me on this. I'm sure there's a lot of women out there whose parents put a lot of pressure on them, with studies and their future and what they're going to do with their life and things like that. But, generally speaking, right, for a guy, it's what are you going to do with your life? You know what I mean? Are you going to be able to protect and provide for, a woman and children? That is a big, big deal for men. So there's this internal pressure that we put on ourselves in order to, create value in the world and create resources and get our money up and build wealth and all that responsibility. Okay. So with that, when we work hard and we're focused and we're out there in the world and we're striving to make it, and we're going for greatness, right? You know, when we're not working, we want some peace. We want some peace and quiet, because in our heads it's chaos, right? Being focused all day long, building something, creating something. You could be a businessman, you could be in sales. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a business consultant, so I'm dealing with businesses all the time. I'm dealing with deals, negotiations. I'm dealing with clients that have issues and problems and all kinds of headaches and fires that I gotta put out all the time, every day. So when I come home, I just want to like relax, and I don't want any extra challenges and problems and issues, right? So from a woman, I want peace. I want her to be my peace. You know what I'm saying? I don't want her to give me more issues and problems, more headaches that I don't want to deal with, right? So if that happens, I'm going to run away. Most men do. They want to run away from that. So, that's why we want peace. You understand what I'm saying? That's why we want peace. So if you're a woman watching this, and you got a boyfriend who's hustling, who's working hard, and he's trying to make it, and he's trying to build something, and he's thinking about your future and the children's future and all of that, let him have his peace, man, on the real. Because at the end of the day, as men, we're not just thinking about right now. We're not just thinking about how we're going to pay the rent and how we're going to pay the bills and bring money in and stuff like that. We're also thinking about 5 years down the track, 10 years down the track, 2 years down the track. Baby's going to get older. The baby's going to turn into a toddler, and then to a little bit of an older child, and then a teenager, and then after that, we're thinking about all of that. We're thinking about when our kids turn 18 plus. You understand? So it's a lot that goes with it. Okay? So that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to, we're looking towards the future. We're looking towards, we got responsibility for multiple people, when it comes to their future. Human lives, man. It's a big deal. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we want peace, man. We're trying to make it in this world. We're competing, baby. We're competing in this world. We got lots of challenges and stuff that we're dealing with. We got the world against us. So that's why it's harder for men in that way. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, I hope this answers, that question for anybody of why men want peace. I hope you got some value from this, and definitely comment on this video if you have any questions, and let me know if you need anything. Peace.